All right, welcome to video 6, or is it even 5? Hold on, let me confirm. Video 6 here on this series, and today I'm going to be discussing how to attract your first clients. Okay. Obviously, if you've been following this series, you would know that I always insist that to attract your first client, you would need to make use of family and friends. However, I'm going to give you my own experience, and as I always do, and you can find a way to modify it to fit into what you intend to do, or how you intend to go about getting your first clients. I believe um, there are different paths for different people. Probably what must have worked for me might not work for you, right? But it doesn't mean that you won't need a framework, because at the end of the day, you still need a framework to be able to flow, or to be able to know who and who is accurate in terms of attracting your first client. Yeah. Um, in my own case, my very first client outside of what I did was through my friend Cody. I think in the first video I explained it. However, there comes a point where you've run out of friends and family that you can reach out to tell them that, hey, we are a web developer or a software engineer, and if anybody needs your services, let them reach out to you. Or in a situation whereby um your friends and family, there is no conversion. What that means is nobody is reaching out to you for a project from your friends and family, right? um the best way to go about it is through advertising. Advertising is a way of getting your information out there. Now, some of you might say you do not have money to run adverts, which is very, very valid. To be very honest with you, when I started out, I didn't even, advertising was very foreign to me. So I'm not going to say go and run ads. Most of you starting out might not even have money to run ads. So this is what I can say, because this is what worked for me. I was around 2018. By that time, I've exhausted the whole family and friends thing. Almost everybody in my family and my friends, they do know I'm a programmer. So there was no need is it beating the bush or we beating it down? So there was there was nothing else I could do at that point. Anybody that needs a project, and if they would like to, they refer to me. Else, there is nothing else I can do. The first thing to always make sure of is that they are aware that you can do this. Once they are aware that you can do this, then there is obviously nothing else that you can do. So after you've conquered that aspect, you need to now get the public aware too. Now, in my own case, I had about 40,000. I was in Abeokuta here the first time I came to Abeokuta to see a friend, Namdi, and I stayed with him for a while. But it was around December period, and we had to travel back to the east for Christmas. Yeah, and I obviously I had to split the money into two. I had 20,000, that I believe at that time, this was 2018, could take me down to the east. And I had another 20,000. So this is what I did here. I took that 20,000, take it to travel back to the east for the Christmas celebrations. Luckily for me, there was a change remained from the 20,000, right? And I developed a website, a portfolio website, nicolasidoko.com, quickly. I did that in a day, and I put in the few projects that I've worked on for my family and my friends. I think they are not even up to five at that point. Yeah, apart from Nixon. So even with Nixon, I think they were like five. I believe they are just five at that point. Yeah. So I after I did that, I hosted it. Hosting and everything was very cheap back then. Not now that almost everything is 30,000 and above. It was very cheap back then. So I hosted it, and I had 20,000 left. That was my last card. At that point, I didn't have any other money apart from that 20,000. And I knew Nairaland, they do charge minimum of 20,000 to put your ad banner to run ads on Nairaland. And if you go to the webmaster section of Nairaland, you're going to see that there are so many web developers there, creating topics like who needs a web designer, who, they are all writing their topics. But at that time, nobody was running ads for I am a web developer. Kindly reach out to me if you have a project. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I was the first person to actually run an ad. Because at that time, I never saw an ad on that webmaster section regarding being a software engineer and for people to reach out to you. What most people did was just create topics, right? And if anybody wanted a software project, they would actually just key in the features of what they want to do, and you see a lot of web developers fighting to get that slot. They'll be putting their phone numbers or their email address, or be trying to contact the person. I didn't want to go through all that route because I knew that that would be a very stressful procedure. It's almost the same thing with Fiverr, freelancer, Upwork, anything that has to do with you fighting for a project. It was never my the route I wanted to take in this freelancing journey. To some people it might be profitable, but to me, I felt like it was a lot of work. Actually working on the project is a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication and time, not to talk of now having to now fight for a project too. That is, I don't think you'll sustain yourself in this journey as a freelancer if you are doing both. So I paid Nairaland that 20,000. I can still remember that that money I had to go to Zenith Bank, and I had to, give them the cash, and they will give me this their blue slip. I took a picture of it, but I lost it when I lost one of my phone. That was the first. It was not even transfer, bank transfer, something. I had to go to the bank, and after I took the picture, I sent it to the email address provided on the Nairaland campaign page. I think back then it was email before, but now they have made it a phone number. You can contact the person or send the message currently as of 2024. But back then, you had to send an email to Sean. Is it Sean or Sean? Sean Osewa is the owner of the Nairaland platform. For him to now confirm and top up your Nairaland ad credits. So that was how it worked back then. And that was what I did. And after about 2, 3 days, it was not instant. He actually credited my Nairaland ad credits. So I now put up my own banner. I designed it all by myself. I used uh I was using a Windows laptop then. There was this software. I don't know if it is still around. Macromedia Fireworks. That software, man. I did a lot of things with that software. It's for design. I don't even know if I'm even getting the name right. Macromedia Fireworks. You could create preloaders, you could create a lot of designs on it. So that was what I used, and I designed my own banner, and I put it up there, and I linked it to my portfolio site, right? Now, ah, man, memories, man. Now, when I added the banner, I loved it, but I was worried because mind you, that was my last card, and I didn't know if it is going to convert. I didn't know if anybody is going to reach out. I didn't know, to be honest, I had no idea of how it's going to work because I've not seen anybody do it, and there was nobody running an ad like that on that webmaster section as at that time. Um, So when it started running, after a week, I got about a few calls, people that wanted to wanted me to develop a website for them, but they were not really serious. Most of them will say they will call you back. Most of them will tell you that what they have for their budget is 20,000 for something that even at back then I was even charging them like 120, something that currently now it will be in millions. How crazy it was. But they'll be telling you they don't have any money. Like, the bargaining was crazy. I did not see any tangible um, request, and a week had gone. By this time, the Christmas celebration and everything was over. We are now in January period. I didn't even have any money to travel back to Lagos or Abeokuta. I was at home in my father's place in Enugu, and I was just hoping and praying. The time I had left, I was using it to work on the Nixon calculator, the blog. I was using it to do some tutorials, learn some new things in software engineering, but I had no job. I was jobless. Mind you, at that point, my parents were pressuring me to go and do a master's program, but it was never my intention. I didn't have any zeal to have to do that, even though I graduated with first class from photo. The master's program was never my zeal. And not only that, um, I was offered a job at photo because I graduated with first class, but it that was also not what I wanted to do. Then by this time, the money was about to run out. I won't even lie, and I was already tensed up. I was like, so this is how this 20,000 just went. So at that point, I kind of had started giving up a bit. So I started applying for job interviews, applying for jobs. Before I even did that portfolio site, I applied for a lot of jobs. I wanted to work as a software engineer, even though I didn't really feel it, but I was like, man has to make some money. So most of the jobs I was getting, or the job offer I was getting when I was in Abeokuta before I came back, I remember going for one job interview, wore suit, wore everything, I was looking very, very sharp. Only for me to get there, and they told me that the salary I'm going to be earning was 50,000 naira, which I did not believe it because it did not make any sense to me. With where the accommodation, where would I stay that I'm now going to be paying? I felt like I'm just going to kill myself there because there's a difference. I think this is what most people don't even really get. I'm sidelining now like I always do, but if your parents are living in Lagos, it is easier for you to take some of those jobs, like let's say 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, and grow with the company. I feel like most of these companies do not realize it. But if you're coming all the way from Enugu or from another state to Lagos and you don't have any family member, how is it possible for you to survive on a salary of 50,000? Because which house are you going to stay? How do you do your transport? How do you? So I did not even realize this till I think recently I was speaking with somebody, and he started working with a company that was paying him low, and now they are paying him high, but he has spent about 6 7 years in that company. And I told him the only way he was able to see the perspective or see the vision of working in that company, even at that initial pay that was very low, was because his parents stay in Lagos, and the parents stay close to the company, kind of. So he did not have to worry about transport issues. He did not have to worry about feeding. He did not have to worry about accommodation. His own was to just go to work and come back, go to work and come back. But for somebody that doesn't reside, their family is not in Lagos, he or she doesn't have any family in Lagos, you find out that that kind of position is impossible. I'm not even saying it to say that some somebody is to be blamed or whatnot. It's just the reality of things, because that 50,000 that they offered me at that point, well, it did not make, I could not use it to do anything, right? Maybe today now the money will be high if I've stayed in the company, but at the initial point it was impossible. So coming back to Enugu now, when I was about to give up, it was like the money is going down. Nobody has contacted me that is serious for a project. So I started applying. But mind you, some people have been calling me from time to time that they are interested in a project, but none of them actually, wanted to move forward. It's just talk and talk and talk. Then I got a job interview at Tizeti. I think this was around March, if I'm not mistaken, 2019. Yeah. And I had to go to Lagos. My parents actually funded it because I didn't even have any money. I'm not going to lie to you. They funded me to go to Lagos, and I stayed with a friend, Ejiro. God rest his soul. He has passed on now. Um, I stayed with him in Lagos, and I went for the interview. Now, that was one of the weirdest things that had ever happened to me, right? Because in that interview, when I went for the interview, they gave us a code to write. They gave us a project to do, a very simple project to do, and I did everything excellently well. Like everything was perfect. In fact, mind you, the interviewer, when I was done, because I finished like quarter of the time. If it's 1 hour, I finished everything in 15 minutes. And when I was done, the interviewer came and looked at my work. Everything was working perfectly. And it was a lady. She was very impressed. She said it is 100 over 100. In fact, that everything is done, that this is amazing, that I can go. I did a very wonderful job, that they'll reach out to me soon. So I went back to my friend's place, Eju, and after a week, I did not get any call back. And mind you, I was desperate. I didn't have any money. And it's not like my parents are wealthy, no. So there was no money too. And I was just, I was going through a lot of, craziness at that point. So after a week, I was expecting very soon. In fact, I've already started picturing myself working at Tizeti at that point. But there was no callback. There was no, in fact, nothing. I didn't get anything back. I had to now message the, I think, did I message the interview? I can't remember, but I messaged the person that I was in communication with regarding the job interview. And the person told me that I should not worry, that they are going to get back to me. Now, while I was waiting, one of the people that called me from the Nairaland ad um called reached out to me and told me that he is now ready to start the project, and we bargained and brought everything down to 120,000. Did the project scope, did everything go to go, and he paid me 60,000 to start. That was three times the money I put in. And that was where my head now sparked, and I was like, okay, I can get this to work. I can actually hustle clients my own way and get it to work. Right? And after a while, I think I stayed in Lagos for 2 weeks waiting for them to get back to me. Nobody got back to me. Nobody. I decided to take a leap of faith, and I just packed my bags and everything and decided to go to Abeokuta. I had to actually borrow 400,000 from a friend, uh, you know, get an accommodation in Abeokuta, get bed, get generator, arrange the accommodation, very small place, set up the entire thing. And I told the guy that I'll pay him 50,000 a month for 12 months, which is 500,000 at the end. No, for 10 months, yeah, which is 500,000 at the end. And man, that was the best decision I made, because as I'm speaking to you now, December 2024, those guys at TZ, they never got back to me till today. Till today, I never got any feedback back. I don't even know what happened. I never got anything on my email. Nothing. Um I think that was the last job interview I ever applied for. I did not apply for any interview outside that. So I decided to take a chance for myself from there and move head deep into the freelancer because I was like, if this could work, 120,000, I put in 20,000, 6x my money. Once I accomplish the project, I can really, spin the money around, turn it over around. As an Igbo person, I don't know, that thing is always in the back of our heads. Me, let me just say for me, I don't know about others. So when he paid me that 60,000, mind you, I did not I took the entire 60,000 and I put it back into Nairaland. And obviously, like I told you, I borrowed 400,000, which I used to sort out myself. And I was now working on his project. At this point, I had one project I was working on. That 60,000, after about a month, brought in three more clients for me. Man. And those three clients paid me around 600,000 in total, right? And I put in 200,000 back into Nairaland. And that was how I grew it. In a matter of 6 months, I already become a millionaire in Naira, if not even 3 months. Yeah, in a matter of 3 months, it did not even take long. In a matter of 3 months, my turnover was already in the millions. I had a profit of millions. I was just, I was now working like a crazy person because at that point I had like 7 projects I was working at the time. Once I finish one, I'll be running ads, I'll get one more. By the time it got up to 9 projects that 2019, I didn't sleep. I was just working and working. And anytime I feel tired, I'll just pick up my phone, look at my bank balance. And I was like, just a few months ago, I had nothing, but now I have some money coming in, and that is how it started. So that's how I just started growing my client base, from there to what it is today. Obviously, today, after Nairaland, I did some Google ads, did some Facebook. I'm not really running ads today anymore. I'm more focused on building or working on my own products. But I still do freelancing. Like I said, freelancing is a lifestyle. So people do reach out to me if their money is fair, if what they are, for the project is fair. I do work on it. But that is how it started, right? So coming back to the topic, which is how to attract your first clients, right? Family and friends is always the best way to start. However, there is a cap to it because you don't know everybody in the world, and most of the people you know may not even want to really pay you. So once you've exhausted that cap where you've known that, okay, I've informed almost all my family and friends about this thing, there is nothing I can really do again. It's now time to start running ads. If you don't have the money, I think 20,000 can be a little piece, even if it means to borrow from your family and friends to invest into the business. If you invest it right and you are careful with it, not like invest 20,000 for you to expect it to run in one day, you will lose that money. You will lose it. But if you spread that 20,000 in like 4 months, 5,000 per month, find a way to do it. Nairaland Webmaster is cheap, and I like it because it's cheap, and two, it is concentrated. Most people that visit Nairaland, if they want to look for a web developer, they just go to that webmaster section, right? If you put an ad there, if you put 20,000 naira on that webmaster section alone, before it finishes, somebody must contact you. It's now a matter of, do you now want to work on that project or not? And based on whatever they say they are willing to pay you, right? So I think that is going to be one of the best ways. Google is expensive in a way, but if you can do $1 a day on Google, it can work. It will just take some time. What I've experienced with Google is, if you do $1 a day on Google, in about your second month, the ending of your second month, the people calling you for projects now becomes sharper. People, it becomes more reasonable. In the beginning, Google, it takes time for it to learn and figure out who it's going to show your ads to, right? Facebook is a very tricky place. Focus on if you want to use Facebook, let it be a niche that you're going after, like building websites for doctors who have a clinic. If you want to do that on Google, it's impossible. But if you want to do that on Facebook, that's the best place to be. But Facebook is more expensive, in my opinion. You may need like 100,000 minimum to really get something good from Facebook. So you need to figure out which platform works for you. You might even know one that you might even teach me later on. Reach out to me. I'm like, Nick, this is what I did that was successful. I'm always very happy to get that kind of information. All right. So I believe with what I've said today, you have an idea of something that you can do to attract your first clients as a freelancer. You just apply the software engineering principle of what I'm saying to whichever profession of freelancing you are in, and I think you'll be fine. Thank you and bye bye.